Welcome to the 2012 National Organization for Women Annual Conference. We are going to energize, organize, and stop the war on women. Before we do anything else, I am just thrilled to have local elected officials who are here to welcome us to Maryland and to Baltimore. This is my home state. All of these people are individuals who have fought for our rights in Maryland, who are there for us every day in the legislature, and I'm just so grateful that they're all here to welcome us here. I'm going to introduce everyone one at a time, I think will be best. So first we have Delegate Susan Lee and Delegate Shirley Nathan-Pulliam. On my far right, Delegate Heather Mizeur. And to my immediate left, Senator Roger Manno. Hello, welcome everyone to the state of Maryland. Thank you for coming here today. Women strong! But I'd like to really thank your President, ONeill, for her outstanding leadership and work. Can you give her a hand again? Let's hear her! And thank you for all the leadership who came from all parts of the country to be here for women, children, and families. I just recently finished my 2-year term as president of the Women's Caucus for the Maryland General Assembly. And we are 1/3 of the General Assembly, and we are strong. And we just passed an aggressive agenda of legislation to uplift and economically empower the lives of women, children, and families. And we did it with the help of the National Now and Maryland Now. And I'd like to recognize the Maryland Now's president, Linda Pony. Will you stand up? All right, Maryland Now, yay! You know, despite one of the toughest sessions we had, we were still able to pass legislation to get greater health care access, as well as fight domestic violence and human trafficking. And the work and the strategies that you produced here today are so important because the ultra-right-wing conservatives in Congress and around the country, they have launched a war on hardworking women and families and immigrants. And Congress and the legislatures around the country, and in some cases, they have proposed outrageous, extreme, and mean-spirited legislation that are designed to strip, diminish, and also interfere with our reproductive rights, our civil rights, our health care access, and something as fundamental as the ability of women to receive equal pay for equal work. I just want to tell you something about myself, because I'm pretty old. In 1978, I really am. It's great on the show, but thank goodness for Lady Clara, okay? In 1978, I proudly participated in what was one of the greatest marches that start in the feminist history, is the March for the ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment, and this was way, way back in 1978. And I have a picture to prove it, and right here. And I was leading the banner here, and I'm very proud of that. And some of you that were there too. Can you raise your hand if you were there at the 1978 March? Yes! Thank you. At that time, there were over 100,000 individuals who joined that march, and we were so, so happy, and that started everything going. We may be a little older and greater today, but our commitment is still strong. And while we made some landmark gains, women since this historic march just 30 years ago, over 30 years ago, we have still had some setbacks. Recently, the United States Senate not being able to move the Paycheck Fairness Act forward. But despite those setbacks, we're still moving forward to and getting closer to ratifying the Equal Rights Amendment. And also, yesterday, didn't we have a wonderful victory? Supreme Court affirmed Obama's health care. Thank goodness. But we can't do this individually. We got to work together. because we're not going back. Because we're going to win this war, right? Because we're on the side of justice. We're multitaskers, we're caregivers. We've lived all those issues and challenges. So we're going to pool our resources together, our talents, our experience, and we will triumph, and we will energize, organize, and stop the war on women and families, and move our country forward. Thank you so much.
And now it's my pleasure to introduce Delegate Heather Mizeur. Good morning now, ladies. Vagina. What kind of a world do we live in where Rush Limbaugh is allowed to call us sluts on his national syndicated radio show, and women legislators defending women's reproductive rights and the right to make our own decisions about our own bodies, who use a correct term of anatomy on the floor of the Michigan State Legislature? They say vagina, and she gets censured. She's prohibited from further debate on this bill and reprimanded by the Speaker, the parliamentarian, and others in the General Assembly there. Make no mistake about it, there is absolutely a war on women, and that is why your engagement with the National Organization of Women today and every day moving forward is critical for all the advances that we need to make in this nation, and even here at home. What we were able to do in Maryland in the last couple of years, at the same time that the federal government was threatening to close its doors over whether or not family planning services would continue to be funded, we in Maryland, in a bipartisan way, I went and had a conversation with the de facto head of the Tea Party in Maryland, a delegate from the Eastern Shore, and I said, hey Mike, I have a bill I want to work with you on. It will lower the number of abortions by 2,600 a year, and it'll save the state $30 million annually. What do you think about that? He said, well, it sounds like a pretty good idea. What's the catch? And I said, it's about an expansion of family planning services for all women in Maryland who need it. And I don't want you to have a knee-jerk reaction to that, because this shouldn't be an issue that we're fighting over. No matter what your position is on reproductive rights, we can all agree that if we eliminated unwanted pregnancies, there are fewer abortions. And when we eliminate unwanted pregnancies, we improve maternal and child health outcomes. We empower women to have babies when it's right for them in the work cycle of their life. We break cycles of poverty. This is win-win-win for everyone. And because every unwanted pregnancy that ends up getting enrolled into Medicaid costs the state $19,000 just for the birth alone, we save almost $30 million annually by actually giving free family planning services to low-income women. We passed that law in Maryland at the same time that the federal government was threatening to close the doors of the entire government over whether or not to fund family planning services. And that happened because of you in this room. I can point out and start calling out names of the women who were there who testified, who called their legislators, who made their voices known here in Maryland. And I know that this work across the country happens because of the strength of an organization like NOW, and your resilience, your willingness to be empowered. We have to stop being politely angry at everyone trying to trample all over us in our rights. And I'll just close with this, because when I'm around a group of women, actually two quick things. First of all, I'm asking you to run for office, okay? Because my mom always tells me that I came out of the womb ready for running for office. And so it was news to me that actually when you start talking to a lot of women, you find out they only run, when they finally do, they only run because 5, 6, 7, 8 people asked them to do it, put it in their mind, suggested that they should. And it goes in line with a friend of mine who is a headhunter at a major firm. She puts out a notice about some amazing job, and it'll have, an advertisement that you have to have 10 qualifications to apply, and she'll get a stack of resumes from men who have 4 or 5 of the qualifications. And she'll start calling women who she knows are really qualified for this job and ask why they didn't send in their resumes, even though she solicited them. And the women said, well, I only had about 7 or 8 of the qualifications. right? We have to stop holding ourselves back, ladies. The author Marianne Williamson has wonderful words to live by, and I'll leave you with some of my favorite. It's that our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. We ask ourselves, who am I to be talented and fabulous, gorgeous, and amazing? Actually, who are you not to be? You were born to make manifest the glory of God that is inside of you. And when you allow that light to shine, you unconsciously give permission to everyone else to do the same. Own your power, ladies. Rise up. This is our time. You can do it. Thank you for all you've already done. You are making Maryland a better state and the United States of America a better country. God bless.
And now I'd like to introduce Delegate Shirley. Thank you, Nathan-Pulliam.
What a wonderful day. And if you don't believe it's a wonderful day, just try doing without it. It is exciting to be here with all of you. Welcome to Maryland. Spend as much money as you can because we need our taxes. I want to congratulate your leader, Terry Owens. ONeill. Terry Owens is an anchor. I used to be an anchor on one of our television stations. Terry ONeill. I'm sorry, Terry. I just gave you a new name. And also to recognize Linda Mahoney, who have worked with us tirelessly, our General Assembly, as we advocated for the Harriet Tubman legislation and others. And again, I salute you, Linda, for all that you do. But having been privileged to work with these two women, to have Heather and I used to be on the health committee together. She left me and went to appropriations. But I think when she gets up on the floor, people listen. And then I have Sue over here, who's really a union organizer. She should get another job as organizer. And of course, very privileged to have our senator on the other side supporting us. We are remarkable women, aren't we?
Yes, ma'am.
We are here to speak to the injustices around us. And there is injustice every day. We have a voice. And we will not be silent, do not intend to be silent. As we bond together today, as you come together, remember that we are unshakable when we are in this bond, in this unity. And remember to tell your sister next to you, turn to her and say, I got your back. Because that's the only way. We have got to have each other back on everything. Just think, I'm a registered nurse, so I've been advocating for health care all my 50 years as a nurse. And so, I ran on the issue of health care for all. That health care is a right and not a privilege. And so you can imagine how tremendously elated I was with the final verdict yesterday. More so is the fact that 3 of the 5 justices were women. Just think about it. So we don't know how much power we have until we come together and vote and work together. And the center, as Heather just mentioned, Rutgers, the Center for Women in Political Studies, had indicated that more women need to run for political office. And guess what? The numbers are increasing. So make sure that you think about that. And if you need any of us to help tell you how to start, and don't back off because if you think you don't have any money. I had $50 when I started. And I bought some hors d'oeuvres and gave it to everybody. And say, if you think that I can represent you, write me a check. And I've been there for 18 years, going to, this is my 18th year. And as I get ready to sit down, I want to say, as a little girl from the Caribbean, I'm sure you picked up my accent. You know, when I ran for office, I said, what a Jamaican woman doing running for office here? But it was the work that I did in the community that was important. The reaching out to others. caring about others. And you know, if you care about people, then you're just about halfway there. And I think that's what we women do better than anybody else, about care. And the men who come along with us, we got to salute. And so, my Angela said, being a woman is hard work, but not without joy and even ecstasy, but still relentless on ending work. But to become a woman demands the existence and employment of genius. The woman should be tender, tough, laugh as much as possible, and live long life. The woman who is equipped is among the first to celebrate victory. And as I sit down, remember, Martin Luther King says, our lives begin and end the day we become silent about things that matters. So whatever you do here today, it matters, and don't be silent.
And now I'd like to introduce Senator Manno.
Hey, I'm Roger Manno, and I represent a little district in Silver Spring, Montgomery County, in the state senate. Thanks to all of you. So thank you. This war is real. First of all, it's appropriate that this great conference is being held in the great state of Maryland. I want to thank you and echo the welcomes of my great friends in the legislature. It's appropriate because we are a progressive state. We've made huge strides in the state of Maryland. 5 years ago, Terry ONeill and I sat down to write a bill that was a little bit out of left field. We had the idea to make crisis pregnancy centers, quote-unquote crisis pregnancy centers, disclose what they really are, not healthcare. Not healthcare. We came up a little short, but we planted a seed. A couple of years later, this great city, Baltimore, and my great county, Montgomery, passed local ordinances requiring that so-called crisis pregnancy centers disclose what they really are, not healthcare. But the war on women is not just alive and well in conservative legislatures and governors and states around the nation like Texas and Arizona. It's alive in the courts because just this week the Fourth Circuit shot down those two ordinances in a bizarre ruling as unreasonable restraints on speech. You can't yell fire in a crowded building. You shouldn't be allowed to tell a young woman who is at a critical point in her pregnancy or lead that young woman to believe that they are being given medical advice when they're not. It's not right, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen in America. So we have a lot of work to do in the courts. The Supreme Court, once in a while, gets it right. This week it did on the ACA. And we hope when this case that overturned these two ordinances in Maryland goes to the Supreme Court, that they'll see it the way we see it, that it's an absolutely reasonable exercise of speech. I want to just let you know that there's so much work to be done, and that's what this conference is about, and that's what we're here to do. Until we eradicate violence against women, economic violence, social violence, physical, emotional violence, the war on women will continue. Until we eradicate wage discrimination and gender discrimination and age discrimination and race discrimination, the war on women will continue. And until we finally pass the Equal Rights Amendment, this war goes on. I just want to leave you with one word. In the dissenting opinion by Judge King in that Fourth Circuit case this week, he called the decision of that court indefensible. What's going on in legislatures around the country right now and in the courts is indefensible. And nobody's going to do it for us. We have to take it ourselves. So thank you so much for what you're doing. And I just want to echo what my colleague Heather Mizeur, the great delegate from Tacoma Park, said earlier. Vagina. Thank you.
So everybody knows, of course, Michigan, right? Saying the word vagina on the floor of the legislature. It was an eerie echo from last year in the state of Florida. Uterus, when a legislator said on the floor of the House in Florida, said, you know, I was just telling my wife the other day, it's too bad your uterus isn't a corporation. If it were, this body would protect it rather than trying to regulate it. After that, the Speaker of the House issued a decree that the word uterus shall not be spoken in the entire Capitol in Tallahassee. I'm absolutely thrilled to let you know that the Mayor of Baltimore has joined us. Mayor Rawlings-Blake, would you please come up? We are thrilled to welcome her here, and I'd like to ask her to say just a few words of welcome. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is my pleasure to be here. I'd like to thank now President Terry ONeill for inviting me to join you this morning. It's also an honor to join the members of the state legislature who are here with us today. Very excited that so many committed women and men, I saw one, I don't want to shortchange you, are here in Baltimore to create a blueprint for the months ahead and to fight for women's equality, of course, over my lifetime and the lifetime of my mother. We have made tremendous progress, but today, just as our nation tries to recover from crippling recession, many of our hard-won gains are under assault. It's a critical election year. The stakes are very high because of vigorous attacks on women's basic rights. Now more than ever, women, our mothers, daughters, and sisters need our attention, our passion, and our advocacy. Our increasingly polarized politics were certainly on display yesterday, and are an unfortunate reality of our time. And in this climate, it can be very challenging to stay focused and to stay optimistic. With today's 24-hour news cycle, one of our biggest challenges is to take very complex issues and craft one unassailable 10-word sentence that makes a convenient soundbite and gets heard above the din and cuts through the foolishness. It's not easy, but we have great leaders who set an example for all of us. I think Maryland's own Senator Barbara Mikulski, the longest-serving woman been standing up for equal pay this year. Senator Mikulski is a role model for me and for many other women in Maryland working for meaningful change. The senator is a great leader because she focuses on the fundamental things that matter to all women: healthcare, public education, economic security, and physical safety. These are not Democratic or Republican issues. They are fundamental human needs that transcend race, class, or party affiliation. As Hillary Rodham Clinton said at the UN's Fourth World Conference on Women in 1995, human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights. This year, women are going to play an important role in advocating for these issues and giving voice to the voiceless. And we know that when the pie gets smaller, minorities, women, and children are disproportionately impacted. And in this economic climate, women play an important role in seeing that the vulnerable do not get lost in the shuffle. So I'd like to close with a little bit of advice. This weekend, while you are attending workshops and networking sessions, you will again be confronted with very complex issues. It can be very easy to lose focus along the way, so I urge you to take a moment from time to time to keep your goals simple and on track. Keep it simple, because while pessimism and cynicism can be infectious, so can our commitment and so can our enthusiasm for this cause that is truly just. So go ahead, spread the now fever. Thank you very much for your support and enjoy your conference. recognition. So I have a certificate of recognition on behalf of the citizens of Baltimore. I am pleased to present this certificate to National Organization for Women in recognition of your 2012 National Now Conference entitled Energize, Organize, Stop the War on Women. Your hard work and dedication to promoting equality and justice in our society should be a source of great pride for you. Wherefore, I have signed and issued this certificate in appreciation of your sincere commitment to the empowerment of women and in celebration of your continued success. Thank you.